Good morning, everybody. My name is Jaden Jones, and I'm here to tell you guys about my narrative speech. Now, in this narrative speech, I'm sharing an important part of my life that I never forget, and it was about the time that my grandmother had a stroke. It was in the summer of 2013, and at that time, we stayed in a three-bedroom home in a small town of Preston, Georgia. Everything was going just fine. Me and my brother was in the living room playing video games, and my sister was in the kitchen cooking breakfast, and my grandma also was laying on the couch watching us play the video games. And me and my brother, we was just playing. He was losing as usual. And my sister yelled at us. She said that the breakfast was ready. So we all rose up. We went into the kitchen, and my sister had 3 plates made, 2 for me and my brother, and 1 for my grandmother. We sat down as a regular family, and we began eating. Everything was going good. Then me and my brother finished first out of everybody, so we disposed of our trash in the trash can, and we continued to play video games. Later came in my grandmother. She laid back down on the sofa. And next thing you know, we heard like a cough and a wheeze. So me and my brother looked at our grandma. We was like, "Grandma, are you okay?" And she did a yes motion, like a yes nod motion, and then she said she was okay. So me and my brother continued playing the video games. Next thing you know, we ended up hearing it 3 minutes later, but this time it didn't stop. And then we was like, "Grandma, are you okay?" And she said yes. But the next thing you know, we started noticing that she was kind of like delusional and out of it. And then she started falling back down on the couch, but we ran over there and we caught her before she was able to fall. And then we was like, "Grandma, are you sure you all right?" And then she said yes. And next thing you know, is if things changed. She started foaming out of her mouth, and then she started breathing heavy, saying that she can't breathe, and like stuff was going on. And next thing you know, my sister ran from the kitchen. Then we was all trying to figure out what was going on. We was yelling at each other. We didn't know what was going on because we was young at that time. So that's when my sister had a bright idea for my brother to run to our neighbor's house and get our neighbor. So my brother rushed out the house. He was going like lightning. And the snap of a finger, he reached to my neighbor. So me and my sister, we was up here arguing with each other, trying to keep my grandma stable because we don't know what to do. And I told her to go call our mom, but our mom never picked up the phone. And so my sister keep crying even more and even more. And finally my neighbor and my brother arrived. And my neighbor started calling my grandmother's name. And my grandma keeps yelling, "She can't breathe, she can't breathe." That's when my neighbor looked at me and she said, "Call 911. So I ran, got the phone from my sister, and I called 911. And I told the woman on the phone, I said, "I need you to send help right away. My grandma, she can't breathe, something going on, I don't know." So she said, "Where do y'all stay?" And that's when I told her my address. And then she said the ambulance would be on their way in 5 minutes. And while we up here trying to assist my grandmother, the ambulance, we can hear them coming down the road. When they finally arrived, 3 people had got out of the ambulance and they rushed into the house. They asked for her name, information, and we gave them all of that. And then they put a mask over her because she kept yelling she can't breathe. So they were providing her air so she was being able to breathe. One thing that stuck in my mind the most was my sister telling the man to make sure that he can save my grandmother. And he said he would try the best that he can. So that's when they loaded my grandmother up into the ambulance and drove off to the nearest hospital. So we kept for hours trying to call our mama until they finally picked up. And then we told her, and they said they was on their way as fast as possible. So when my mother got there, we told her everything that happened. So she left and went to the hospital. And then she came back and she told us that our grandmother was not gonna make it through the night. And so we began crying and all that because then we thought that that was gonna be our last time seeing our grandmother. Now, since I was that young of an age, I felt sad because my grandmother was my everything. She raised me, but my grandma kept fighting, and she survived through all of it. It's been 7 years since that day, and she survived, but they left her in a wheelchair. But I still got my grandmother to this day. But I just realized how fast that I could have lost her in a blink of an eye or a snap of a finger. Keep your loved ones close to you because they can be gone in a matter of seconds and you don't even know it. My name is Jaden Jones, and this concludes my speech.